wanted to record something else. So, I don't know how long I got. Be nice to be able to look back and maybe see something that will pull me out of where the future's coming. Be nice to have a glimpse. A visceral glimpse into what was and what one wishes were. The ghost from the video. I was looking at the video again, and I'm thinking, could this guy be the ghost? I'm thinking he is. Because I don't see how he's following me. And if you could see this, I wish you could see this. He's mouthing everything I'm saying. Like, perfectly. Stop it! I don't like it. Make it stop. I'm scared. I'm frightened. He's frightening me. But on the other hand, I don't think he's a ghost. I think he's just some kind of deranged stalker of puppets. He's the special puppet stalker. I don't know where this goes. I don't have a playbook for puppet stalkers. Oh, my chair's acting. Hold on a second. What is this for? I think that's better. Alright, talk about... So, things are getting crazy in the streets, man. Crazier than they usually are in the streets. Like, politically. And not politically like Farrah Leone jumping the curve, the rails of the crazy train, and the macabre, the lucha libre, macabre, the cucamonga, the cucaracha, the Alamo. That didn't have any. I'm not sure how pertinent that is to this particular topic of this that I'm going on about here. Disconcerting. Snide comments aside, is it saying it under your breath if you're coughing? Is it saying it under your coughs? You understand? You're bugging me. You're a buggerist. They call you a buggerist because you're bugging me in England. That's what they call it in England. The buggery. But I think it has the same connotation as molestation. So it's not just you're bothering somebody, but you're bothering them in a lewd, lecherous way. Like Apollo. I was reading this book in the library the other day. I can read. Despite what many might think, this puppet lion can't read. I was reading about some ancient Greek mythology, and some gal had to turn into a tree to avoid the sun god. Damn. The lengths to which... And it didn't even work. It might have even made it worse. I don't know what it's like to be molested, what the psychological frame of reference is for being molested when you are a tree. But in the game Apotheon, it turns out that he just put her up in a garden. It's like, alright, I'm gonna molest you as a tree now. Special tree molestation. Edition 2. I was talking about politics. Pauly Shore? No, not Pauly Shore. My buddies on the street, yeah. They were asking me if I voted. And I told them no, and they were like, "What? Why don't you vote?" And they said, "Because I'm a convicted felon." And they say, "Well, then how do you get welfare?" And they were all going on like, "Yeah, you can't get welfare." I was like, "Calm down. I can explain." A couple years ago, I got a stroke in my arm here, right there. My arm getting a little hot. And I just went, what happened is I just went into they can't believe this. I went into the welfare office and I just said, "Can I have some cheese, please?" And they said, "You have to fill out this paperwork." I look at the paperwork, I read it, and one of the things they ask you for is your name and your address and your social security number, your birth certificate. I don't have a lot of that. I wasn't made with a social security number or a birth certificate. I don't even have a certificate of authenticity. They want a birth certificate. And I told the guy that. I gave him my name. I didn't have an address at the time. This was, I think, shortly after I left my wife. My wife left me. We left each other. Left each other by the docks. Right in the desolate docks. Through the chill and the still of the night, the dismal horizon, the great unknown. What's happening to me when I'm heavy and incapacitated like stone? For the dawn's early night and the chill of the night. And I'm drunk, usually at night, for the one I love must soon come back to me. Da, da, da. Wow. I remember that song. Billie Holiday, I think, sang that song. It's a nice song. Though I do think maybe somebody else should give a crack at it. So I remember how they sang it in Malcolm X. I actually like that version better. I don't know anybody else's opinion on that is. What's they talking about? Politics. Voting cheese. I was talking about cheese. Gouda fat. They kept moldy cheese. It's rotten milk. It's cheese, it's milk, it's rotten, but it's not bad for you. The mutants of Europe. Right now on the computer, there's a screensaver. It's of a mountain. I read that the mountains of Europe had some huge implications in the politics of that region. I think that might have a lot. Oh, the politics! That's what I was talking about. They were saying, what, a vote, and then this real discombobulated, well, crazy bawd strips and stanzas of just redundant lunacy. I'm kind of losing it. Trying to keep my bearings on my head. Not bicycle frames. It's really difficult for me to keep my head straight. I think I'm losing my mind. I might be losing it. There's one thing up here I can't get it out. Driving me nuts. I think it's stuck. Did I get burned? Kind of looks burnt to me. Hope nobody burned me with a cigarette lighter while I was unconscious. I just woke up from being unconscious a second ago. Hope you didn't burn me. Do you have a cigarette lighter on you? Sorry, I coughed in your face. Alright, you're clean. But you're not off the thin ice, so you just watch it, you. Don't pull any walking through walls, poltergeist, television, slapping, painting, dropping, wall painting, or was it a mirror? Might have been a mirror. There's a lot of mirrors in this place. This place is built like a psychomanteon. It's like ridiculous. The spirit. I was talking about the spirit world and ghosts. No, politics. And Nigan, the Nebel's got a. Oh man, I'm really losing it here. Kernels of corn. He's a corn farmer. It was this joke. Your mother's so poor, she farms used corn cobs or something. No, it's politics. Talk cheese. The guy at the welfare office. He said that like you don't have to fill out the paperwork because like I will give you. He was really nice about it. He said I would give you this. I would give you the money because, with the exception, because you're a puppet lion, they didn't give you the right paperwork, so we'll give it to you. Yeah, that was nice. And what they were gonna do, but they usually don't give you money. They were gonna give me food stamps, and then they put you up at one of these places. It's a sordid, dirty, rundown, crackhead. Just the radiator doesn't work. This is the kind of place where the superintendent breaks in and steals your stuff. At least that's what I was hearing from my buddies when I was in prison. There's some people, like when you're in prison, they want to know you're going somewhere. Like what you're gonna do when you get out. It's important. And but I said because I thought like I don't usually have to pay rent. So I'm thinking if he just gives me the rent money, it was like at the time like it was like $200 a month. I could use that for booze, but I didn't want him to, because he may not give it to me. I don't know if he's gonna give me money, the government's money, to buy booze. Yeah. But I said, just if you could give me the money, let me figure out what to do with it, because maybe I could figure some other way to make it work better. You know? And maybe I could, I don't know, but that's not what I intended to do with it. If you're watching this, you'll probably know I'm a bit mischievous, but I'm charming. I'm not that charming. But, anyway, but he gave it to me, and that was the story. So I didn't have to fill out the paperwork, and no one is any the wiser. And that's it. And you know, the conversation kind of dropped after that. So why don't I vote? Even if I could vote, like, what would be the point? I mean, like, the whole point of there being a government is presumably because most people being able to make decisions takes practice and discipline and things that not everybody has. They'd have to devote their life to it. I mean, writing laws ain't no easy game. It's a long, tangled web of intricate red tape and regulations. It's like the Capitol Hill of bureaucracy. Or maybe it's just regular bureaucracy and I'm confusing the nuances of culture. Blockets of Igots, Ichabod Crane, the horse monochromacord stallion, Aegis Temple of Death, running over the scene, running amok. Am I bleeding? No, I'm not bleeding. I hope I'm not. But maybe like some people, like people can make the decision sometimes. Or, I don't know how that works. Or maybe people just can't stop the government. Maybe governments exist from like an ancient archetype of alpha social structures where for some reason it's necessary for some people to just have more power than other people. Or maybe it's like people survive because their ancestors were at some point stronger than some other people and dominated them, and then among their children, the most dominant are always just going to be on top. And now that has become the government. This culture and civilization is becoming more intricate. It's blossoming into this mathematical cultural flower of the state. And the state of politics now is like its legacy. Something. Maybe. Yeah, a weird thing. Kibbles and bits, ceramic blocks. Putting plates down on sunroofs now? It's expensive equipment. To lug it around, big carts, guys in capris and dark ages looking leather jackets and denim jeans. These guys working stiff. Work themselves to death. What will you leave behind? Maybe your ancestors will inherit a social capital worthy of your sacrifice, and then never appreciate you for it. But you'll be dead, you won't know. But you'll know now. I may have done you a great disservice of knowing how your ancestors will behave. I think I did what was I? I was talking to this lady, and she was like trying to come on to me or something. It's like, hey, you know, like if you, I think I was telling jokes or something. And she was like saying like, hey, you know, I want to have, like, if you ever wanted to have fun, talk to me. I don't know, I forgot exactly what she said, but you know, I can't really. After I lost my wife, I know that I can't give anyone the attention they need or that they deserve. And I told her that, and she's like, well, I mean, we don't have to be a long-term thing. You know, like we could, she was telling me like how she kind of has this 60s kind of free love, not like neo-hippie kind of thing where she's like liberation, women's liberation or something like that. She didn't say those words, but that's the vibe I kind of got from it. And I'm like, well, I actually agree with that. I don't think that culture should be trying to coerce or manipulate or proselytize people into monogamous relationships. But I do, however, think that you should know who they are. You should know. You don't have to be their lover all the time, but you do have to invest a good amount of time, like as if you were their friend. You know, even then you may not know someone, but at least, got to put in that time to, because you don't know who I am. Just being alone in a room with somebody, take my word for it, is a liability. You shouldn't do that even if you know somebody. But then you're going to add nakedness into that? I mean, one of the better scenarios that could play out here is, at some point, I take all your clothes and I run. Then what are you going to do? You're going to be chasing a puppet line with a handful of clothes around the garage for a seedy hotel room in Las Vegas, Nevada? The cops are going to come by like I'm a puppet lion. I can get away with that. But you can't get away with that. I mean, you probably can't. I mean, if you're a human lady. I mean, this was a human lady I was talking to. But like, hey, oi, miss! What you hiding under there? You got some weapons I should know about? Oh, she does! Oh my goodness! Officer, this is the radio. This is Officer Carlisle Mark of the base. We got a weapon. Reporting unlawful weapons carried out. Hey, Mitchell, get up! You're embarrassing me. 718 officer down. Oh, why am I laughing? Because I'm about to be down too. Oh man! I knew I shouldn't have left the precinct today. Oh man. That reminds me of I was at this party. This was a while back, like around the time Star Wars came out. I used to do kids parties when I didn't have the stroke. I could juggle and tell jokes and stuff. I used to sing, and it was the perfect setup because you could never hire me. Because at that time it was difficult to. For me, comedy is kind of like a cockroach's wing muscles. It's not like something you could just learn how to do and it's disciplined. It's got to be that kind of warmed up, feverish. I don't know. You gotta have that momentum, that psychic momentum, and then you can add discipline to it. But without that momentum, you'll never get the timing right. Got to be a well-oiled, well-heated, warmed-up machine. And that was not always me. But when I got it, I got it. And somehow, when the time that I was out and about and around places where people would find me for parties, that's when they'd say, hey, could you do my kid's party? Like, he's having a party. Like, yeah, sure. I'll do it. And I came by and I was doing a party. And I remember at some point, one of the kids hit another kid. And then the mom, she shows up, she bends down, and she's like, gets in the kid's face. She grabs him by the shoulders, and I asked the lady why she did that. And she said she did it because they teach her, they said, because you don't want to be elevated. You don't want to be intimidating. You want to get down to the kid's level. It looked like you were getting in his face. It's like, no, I'm trying to be not intimidating. This is how you have to deal with kids. And then she gets down to the kid's. So she's grabbing him by the shoulders. She's getting in the kid's face, and then she says, like solemnly, this wistful, calm, soft kind of voice, "We don't hit. And the kid's like, "Why?" and then she says, "Well, how would you feel if somebody did that to you?" Hey, that's some bullshit right there. Like, Piaget's a straight up gangster. He's cranking it from the grave. This guy's cranking out moms straight out of college campuses and varsity league soccer ball teams that believe that the most congenial and appropriate way to negotiate juvenile violence is to grab a kid by the shoulders, get in their face, and essentially tell them it would be quite unfortunate if what you were doing there to that kid were to happen to you. It would be quite regrettable. It'd be a shame. Hey, oh man. I have qualms with the concept of justice as it is. And it's not just because I have run-ins with cops. Like, I don't go around punching people. And it's not, the reason why I don't do that is not because I'm afraid somebody's going to punch me. Like, I can take a punch. If I want to punch somebody, I'm going to punch somebody. The reason I don't go around punching people is because I don't want to. And, I mean, if you do want to, I mean, there might be a very good reason to refrain from violence even when you want to. And sublimate that into other things, but If there is, I don't know if there is. I can't explain it. Not yet. If you have a kid that wants to hit somebody, this is what you should tell them. Hey, you think you could hold off on that until political science and philosophy gets to the point? Whoa. At least let me call Noam Chomsky. Maybe he's cracked it. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You know? Yeah. You gotta be quick. A little chance. Slide. Penguin time. Oh, man, my butt's falling asleep. I think I'm losing circulation in my lower half. Don't know how long Don Leona's got. Like the Hades Gambit in Hercules. It's a ticking clock. Not an ongoing theme or subtext. Like Kigog Howitzer. A Kit Kat bar. Why can't it be Halloween every day? Because if you go around from house to house, like, people will eventually let you stay with them when you're a puppet lion. But they don't always give you food. That's interesting. A strange thing. It's kind of like, why isn't food free? Like, they say the reason why it's not free is because, well, I mean, how are you gonna afford food? Like, someone has to grow it. Well, then let me grow it. I mean, where's the farm at? How much food do I need? A couple apples or whatever? I don't eat much. I'm a puppet lion. Look at me. I'm a puppet dog. Puppet dog lion. I'm not a dog. Always marking up everything. Mark the trees. And it gets through the windows, too. I don't know how it does. They mark everything. Sooner or later. Diffuses like the blood sacrifices of the ancient Germanic forests over here. Through the forests, through the wood. This place, there's a lot of wood. Yeah. But they don't let you do that when on the farm. Like, if you go to a farm and say, hey, can I use your farm to grow some food? Like, you just tell me what to do, or even if I know what to do, just let me do it. But they won't let you do that. What am I supposed to do? I can't stop my own farm because they own the land. So you have to go to a place where there's already a farm, or I don't know. Sure how all this is supposed to work. Like, my biggest qualm with school was that, like, there's so many ways to do things, but they only want you to do it in one particular way. And when you let people do that, you're letting people run over you and run your whole life. Like, math is retarded. Like, I hope you know that. Like, I remember in a trigonometry, they give you these tasks, like, they have a triangle, and then they want you to solve. They have an A side, a B side, a BN, and a CN. No, that's from that movie. Filter? Loop? Something. Limbo. Primer. But that's not what this is. It's not. The C side is the hypotenuse, and they want you to solve it. And I'm like, what does this have to do with geometry? If you say that, a teacher will be like, were you not paying attention? And like, all right. So what they want you to do, you look in the book, and it says use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And what is that? Just because you put that next to a triangle doesn't make it about triangles. I could do it. I could make up my own arbitrary mathematical rules if I wanted to. And what does that have to do with triangle? But they don't explain it. They don't. They don't. It's not their primary objective. I don't get paid to help you. I just get paid to tell you what to do. But after my own investigation into the matter, I found out that the reason why they do that is because they operate on something called a Cartesian grid. It's like an array, kind of like the screen here, but it's for all intents and purposes, it's going to be bigger. It's not small, so you can see the little pieces. And if you start at 0 point and you go in a regular procession like you would in writing, you go from left to right. Biasno. This is your left. That's your right. This is your left. That's your right. This is your left, that's your right. Welcome to Sparkleville. You're gonna die. Educational television. Educational television. No! Oh. I was talking about. Oh, wait. No, this was a good one. What was I talking about? The sides of the triangle. So if you start from the AN, no, the zero on the array, and like in the metric system kind of number wheel fashion, you got rows of 10. So if you start from 0 and you go to 10, the way you progress along, you always end up here. And if you start from 0 and go to 20, now you're here. And now you start to see that there's like lines. And that's how all these numbers correlate to geometry. But they don't tell you that. They don't tell you that. And so now it starts to make sense that if you square in numbers, if doubling a number could make you go up, like in a straight line, make it look like that, then maybe multiplying numbers by themselves can have some other kind of effect and utility and will allow you to put you in a place that's near or in the path of the intersecting line, and from that kind of figure it out, I guess. I don't know. Well, I'm guessing if that's true, that works fine in a theoretical model, but the only way to know if that works is you have to apply it to something. You have to go measure something and try to see if you can find the third side of the triangle. But you can't do that. All of mathematics operates on the assumption that you can chop up the world into equal pieces, and it does not work like that. Everything is slightly bigger or smaller than everything else. And what they will tell you is that, well, for all intents and purposes, it's close enough that it doesn't matter. Okay? I want you to remember that they said that. Because the next thing you do, let's say you want to, in the case of dividing 1 by 3, just cut it into 3 pieces. What's the problem here? But they act like it's a goddamn mathematical impossibility because it doesn't work in the theoretical model. See, here's what they do. They were going to cut it into 10 pieces first. And I asked, why don't you just cut it into 3 pieces? And they say, well, how do you know the 3 pieces are equal? So, you just said it didn't matter. What do you mean? Why do you know the 10 pieces are equal? And then they say, well, we live in a global civilization, or we need to be able to work in standard units. I was like, well, you didn't tell me that. I mean, if you said that, maybe, okay, well, I didn't. We're working in tandem with the Apple turnover tenths factory. All right. So we'll cut this theoretical bitch into tenths, because babies just gotta have the metric system. So we cut the theoretical apple into 10 pieces. And then what she does is you then divide it into equal groups of 3, because you divide it into 3 pieces, but in groups of 3/10, which of course is going to leave 1, and you're going to try and do the same thing with the 1/10 that just didn't work with the 1 apple. Just cut it into, you're only doing this so that they're interchangeable with other tenths. So now that you have your 10 shapes, just put it back together and cut it like you would, or just cut the one that's left into 3 pieces, because that's what's going to be the equivalent. I mean, regardless of which apples, it's going to be like, if you put it back together and try to cut it as one whole apple, if you cut it into thirds, it's going to be like 1/3 of here, 1/3 way of this tenth, and 1/3 way of that tenth. So you just cut that one into 3 pieces and take the 1/3 of the tenths and put them elsewhere. Money. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And then you end up with this 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. And I'm like, that is clearly some kind of mathematical error. It's the closest thing you get to human psychological error messages. Like, something's wrong with that. But I know this computer scientist, and he was like, oh no, that's like, he acts as if like you've thrown some profound net of psychological wonderment and mathematical implements of the mind refined from the mind to capture some infinite mathematical artifact of reality. No, you didn't. You divide a number that doesn't go into another number, and you made a mistake. That's what happened. You just cut it into 3 pieces because you said that it was fine. If they look the same, then they're fine. I don't know. I couldn't stay in school. It was, I could have just stuck with that. The reason why I didn't stay in school, because I need to be able to shout and dance and run and drink or whatever when I want to do it. always trying to prescribe things on a time. You gotta look a certain way, and because in these institutions, the way they treat you also, because the people who work there are used to those that attend, like they're mandated by law to be there. They don't have a choice to leave. And then the teachers, they treat you like that. They treat you kind of like you're a prisoner. And then other kids, then they want to do that too, because like, hey, I mean, and they must get off on that. It is anthropologically fascinating to see kind of like this hierarchy. It's kind of like you have your little civilization. You set the archetype of culture, and then everybody else, and then you have these numerous classes of thousands of kids all following your example. Yeah, quite interesting, but but it pisses me off, so I don't like it. I didn't do it. I learned to read the hard way. I went into libraries and I just walked up to random strangers and asked, "What's this word?" And I just did that lots of times until I could read a small book. And then kindergartners would come in and they would read out loud, and their parents teach them to read, and I'd use what I'd know, and I'd get better and better and better, and eventually I could read. And I could read simple things. Then one of the parents mentioned they were doing a free learning reading annex class down at the CUNY. So I went down there, I learned to read for free. I learned to read, I could write. Hey, I got a Jed. Pretty nice. Don Leona may not be the best, but I'm not the worst either, you know? But what's more important to me is that I did it my way. I didn't let somebody else tell me when and what to do. When I was ready, I did it. And even if I die in the God, I know I'm not going to sit here and say I made the best decisions. I made a lot of bad decisions. And I'm paying for them. But I'd like to believe that I'll die with a modicum of dignity, no matter what. Maybe I'm stupid. I don't know. The last words, will and testament of an indolent, delusional puppet line. Yeah. I'm gonna go get some bows. Turn this off.